camera for myself as the artist, from my perspective, and then ultimately with how this is going to actually look in person, can be somewhat like, ugh, what was I thinking? I guess if you're drawing digital, it's how you sit to the computer screen. I've noticed at times I'd be doing a sketch at a show or convention. Tables and chairs are all at different heights. Even sitting when I'm traveling at a hotel room, all the furniture is different than what you're used to at home. So there's a level of adjustment needed. And sometimes you might be almost completely done and then realize that, ooh, this whole piece is skewed. Now on the computer, once you scan it in, once you finish it, you can scan it in and then adjust it in Photoshop. But when it's a traditional piece, it's much more difficult. Gotta make sure you get it right. Then after this, I kind of want to eat lunch. Don't want to eat too much. And then get back to work on other projects. Hello, Sean Chen. Sean Chen Art. Welcome to the stream, Sean Chen, ladies and gentlemen. You guys should give Sean a follow. Check out Instagram, Sean Chen Art. Is that your handle, Sean? Sean is the current artist on Batman Beyond. He is. He also has a series out on heavy metal. Well, what's Carl's company? Right. Sean and I go way back. We broke into this industry the same summer. Sean got a head start, a couple months head start on me. Always been envious of Sean because his head start meant that he got to work with Barry Windsor Smith. Although I got to work with Bob Layden, which is great storytelling. But Barry is also an immense artist as well. So Sean got to work with both Bob and Barry. By the time I got to Valiant, I only met Barry once. My very first day at Valiant. This was a great story. I tell this story quite often. Next Chapter Post. At Next Chapter Post on Instagram. Make sure you give Sean a follow. Again, one of these days when I develop enough viewers, I'll have a moderator who will type all this stuff out. But for now, you'll just have to listen to my voice and hopefully give him a follow. So anyways, my first day at Valiant was in New York City. I was 20 years old. Bob Layden, I called Bob up. I met Bob at San Diego Comic-Con that summer. Back then, San Diego Comic-Con was in August. It was later in the year. Nowadays, it's in July. When I got back to school in New York in the fall at Pratt, I gave Bob a call. He was like, come on in, I got a gig for you. Got some work for you. There's more to the story, but I'll just tell you the version about Barry. So I show up. I'm wearing a tie. I think the first year or two, every time I went into the office, I would wear a tie. Yeah, Sean was able to buy a lot of really nice stuff with his royalties from Rye and the Future Force, which sold like 1 million copies. Right place, right time. Um, so Bob gave me my first assignment was Archer and Armstrong. Archer and Armstrong was a book that Barry Windsor Smith had drawn. Was his book, kind of his baby. And he was like, "I'm going to be doing the first fill-in issue 9, I believe." So go into Barry's office over there. Barry had a office in the window office at at the Valiant offices. Is Barry show Bernard how to draw Archer and Armstrong. It's like, wow. I really didn't know what to expect that first day when I went into the Valiant offices, because prior to um, the Monday right before that, I think it might have been a Wednesday, I went into the Valiant offices. Um, Somebody can check the calendar. September, because Bob's birthday was on 19th, right? September 19th, Sean. And I remember they had like some flyers about his birthday party being that week. And so I might have gone in on a Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. Monday had gone into Milestone. Originally, I was in the running to be the artist on Static. But as fate would have it, they gave Static to another one of my best buddies, John Paul Leon. And originally, Dwayne had said, "Oh, when I come back to school in the fall." John Paul and I had gone to high school together. When I come back to school in the fall in New York, stop by the offices, and he would have maybe a fill-in issue for me to draw on one of their books. Milestone was launching with 4 titles, I believe. Static, Shadow Cabinet, no. Static, Blood Syndicate, Icon, and that's 3, right? See, my brain is like really slowed down. Icon, Blood Syndicate, Static, and something. Fill in the blank. But when I met up with Dwayne, he said, "Well, I don't have any work for you. We're too busy with the launch, so we don't even have any inventory stories ready to go." And so probably check back with him in November at the earliest. So when I left the Milestone offices, I was a little pissed because they kept promising me work, and ultimately not delivering. And I didn't want to wait until November, because if I waited till November, my thinking was that by the time November came around, you could be saying, "Oh, we're too busy right now. Come back in February or March," right? So even though Michael Davis, who's one of the founding members and co-creator of Static, had been a big mentor of mine, I remember he had actually taken John Paul and me around that San Diego Comic-Con, introduced me to all of his contacts. On the very last day, the very last hour, I lined up to show my portfolio to Bob. And so when I left the Milestone offices that day, walked into, I remember distinctly being pissed, and then just upset, disappointed. And then there'd be a payphone right on the sidewalk, right outside their office, maybe a little bit, a couple feet to the right. And I was like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna." Oops, excuse me. Screw this! I'm going to call Bob Layden from Valiant, a very loyal person. Michael Davis had, been my mentor, and really provided me a lot of guidance. But I didn't want to wait, and so put in my 25 cents. You guys know what payphones are, right? Payphones are phones that are, you know, you can put in a quarter and dial someone. This look kind of cheesy. He's got his hand up. But and I called up Bob. I said, "Bob, this is Bernard. We met in San Diego." He's like, "Yeah, sure, I remember you. When can you come in?" I said, "Well, it's Monday. I could probably come in on Wednesday." So I was going to school at the time. I was at Pratt. So I could come in Wednesday. So sure, come on in. And I got some work for you. But I'm thinking, yeah, okay, that's what, that's what everybody says. I got work for you, but then I go in and there's no work. But sure enough, that day I went in. The next day, Wednesday, a couple days later, I went into Valiant. So I sat down. Showed Bob. I had redone half of my portfolio that I showed him just a month earlier in San Diego, based off of comments and notes that I got from various editors and artists. And and he's like, "Oh, that's great. Okay, here's your first script, first plot. Here's your first story. You're gonna draw Archer and Armstrong, fill-in issue. You're gonna have a couple months to draw it. Basically, report back to him every time I have some layouts. He'll go over it with me, and then we'll go from there." So, and he was like, Barry was in the office, like, "Barry, take Bernard into your office and show him how to draw Archer and Armstrong." So, yeah, again, I showed up. I had, oh, like a white shirt, a tie. I don't think I had a blazer or jacket on. Just a tie, dress shirt, dress pants, dress shoes. Carried a portfolio, 20 years old, as if I'm, going to work. And Barry sits me down in his office. Barry used to draw on rolls of tracing paper. And portfolio was, back then they would recommend minimum 8 pages. I had about 16. 16 is a little overdue, too much, too, also. You really just need 8 of a continuous story from, doesn't even have to finish. It's just 8 consecutive pages featuring the same characters or the universe, so that editors can kind of gauge. You need talking scenes, action scenes, and 8 should be good. Nowadays they say 4 to 6. You should be able to tell, and you can kind of tell within 4 to 6 if the artist has the chops. The rest of it is deadline, timing, how long it takes for them to do a page. Let's see how we're doing on this. His head's a little big. So Barry pulls out his trace, and Barry drew on tracing paper with blue pencil. And so he starts sketching out the characters. Oh, this is Armstrong. He's a big, burly, heavy-set, husky guy. This is Archer. He's very wiry, thin, so their silhouettes should immediately reflect the difference in their body types. Archer is very agile, nimble, whereas Armstrong was just kind of a bull in a china shop, always drunk or high. So his actions should be not very fluid, almost stumbling into things. He's an immortal. So he can drink as much as he wants, it won't affect him. Blah, blah, blah. Actually, Archer also has this big jawline. So I'm drawing Shazam's jaw. And kind of ironic, huh? And then when he's done, he rips it out, hands it to me, and says, "Here, kid, go practice." And I'm holding an original Barry Windsor Smith artwork in my hands, like, you know. So I was like, "Whoa!" I was holding it. I was like, "Excuse me, Mr." I was trying to figure, should I say Mr. Windsor Smith or Mr. Smith or Barry? But I wouldn't call him Barry, you know, because I'm 20. He's like a legend. So I said, "Excuse me, would you mind signing this for me?" And, you know, he kind of like sat there for a brief moment, paused, and he was like, "All right, well, look, this is the last time, because you're a pro now. So it's the last time I'm going to sign something for you." Meaning, like, stop being such a little fanboy. You're a pro now. Act like it. Act like you've been here before. So that's my